This segment is brought to you by Jig Masters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
Let's go!
This is the Chasing the Tide Saltwater segment on the Paddle and Fin Network. I'm your host, Dustin Nichols. So come along for the saltwater shenanigans. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Chasing the Tide Saltwater segment here on the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. I'm your host, Dustin Nichols. I go through this spiel every time. Y'all don't know who I am. I got my tournament partner and Jackson Kayak teammate, Mike Fiorenza, on the show with me tonight. What's up, Mike? What's going on, man? We're trying to thaw out a little bit. It's still kind of brutal out there. I mean, 45 minutes to the northwest of me, they're still getting snow right now, and this has been ongoing since we're going on 5 days now. It's pretty bad stuff, man. We're seeing some unprecedented freezing conditions. How y'all holding up, man?
Good. We're probably better than most, but I'm an hour from the coast, so we're kind of in that flux zone where we've got a lot of the cold air mass sitting on top of us because you got the Gulf moisture coming up.
Yes.
It's been cold.
Definitely so. We've been dealing with rolling blackouts. They've had to do some load shedding on our grid here since we're on our own grid through ERCOT controls that. They're not reliable at all. Definitely some price gouging going on some water and things like that as the road conditions were really bad over here. So you had problems with goods and services reaching their destinations and to the retailers that sell them, water, food, all that good stuff. Generators were in short supply. I do have a good story on that. I went to go out and find a power inverter, at least to run my refrigerator and freezer off and on off of my truck. They sell them up to 1,000 watts. So I had a full tank of gas. I was going to do that, and I just walked into the AutoZone and was asked where the inverters were, and I just happened to see a generator getting wheeled by on a cart, taking it outside. I said, "Hey, y'all have generators?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have a couple more left." I was like, "Well, I will sure take one."
Put one in the truck, yeah.
And that's the thing. And I don't know why I haven't bought a generator already, because we've already been through a few hurricanes. It's been pretty bad. I mean, we got smashed during Harvey and Claudette also. So from experience, we should know better. But stubborn. But yeah, I got a little small one now. We made it through. Off and on power. I think we went about 40 hours without power. But the house never got below 60. We live in a newer house and well insulated. And now thing is the boil and notice on the water. We're out of water a little bit too. We do have pressure now, but you have to boil it, and then that's why all the water's gone in the stores and everywhere. There's some bare shelves in the grocery stores and all that. Luckily, we're all stocked up with food, and hope y'all are faring the same over there, man. It's been pretty crazy.
Well, we're better than most. Let's put it that way. We've actually been trying to help out a whole bunch of people in the neighborhood and in the area with plumbing supplies, anything that we can, because we were fine. We didn't have an issue in the house. So I have a generator.
Definitely good to reach out and lend a helping hand. That's one thing about Texas is everybody's normally pretty quick to lend a hand to your neighbors.
Absolutely.
And everything like that. One thing we can't help right now for sure is the water temperatures that are just staying below that critical point for our fisheries. So, go ahead. Well, you were about to say something there before I jumped on into that.
That's it. I mean, it's kind of like sitting back helpless, watching what's going on. There's nothing absolutely nothing you can do. I was not in Texas for the last major freeze like that. I mean, we all know that Texas is not set up infrastructure wise to deal with a once in a century cold storm like this.
Oh, it's not. And the power generation plants aren't either. No matter how much steam tracing you have on transmitters and instruments. Man, I work in a process industry myself at a chemical plant. I know the issues firsthand, and I know for a fact that it's hard to keep something running when it is under 20 degrees. It is hard no matter where you're at, no matter how much, and that's the thing. You're not spending all that extra money here to winterize stuff. And winterize is what the base systems need right now. They need a big blanket of insulation. Yeah. We have some major stuff going on. We're seeing some pretty disheartening pictures coming around from our some localized areas of some fish kills, especially the fish of the the tropical variety that might have moved further north over the past winters that have been milder. Like the snook and the mangrove snappers and juvenile tarpon that find refuge in some of our deeper harbors and stuff and spawn there sometimes during the year. We're seeing some of that stuff. I know Dean Thomas has shared some stuff with some tarpon down there in the Rockport, Aransas Pass area.
Two or three tarpon. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 that he pulled out. Both in the harbor. So the Texas Park and Wildlife shutting down areas. Because like anything, that they were hoping they get the deeper water, trying to conserve warmth and stay there. And I'm glad they shut it down. So
yeah, for sure. I know this initial cold blast kind of started off a little slower, and because we had pretty mild temperatures up until this week, and the water temps were already moving up in the mid 60s to 70s down around South Padre and stuff, and so the fish were already setting back up for almost to go into that spring pattern, and that's the thing, man. The front came through with strong northwest winds. The temperature dropped. The water started falling. And you think the fish would have got that memo to get out of Dodge, but a lot of those fish in those back lakes got stuck, like what I'm seeing around my area, Port O'Connor, the back lakes there, Power Lake, Cedars, Pringle. There's some good trout fishing in there, usually solid fish in there this time of year, and they're stubborn and get stuck in there. That place is usually one of the first places you kind of see some stuff happen on these freezes like this, and it's it's heartbreaking, man, to see some of these 28, 29 bigger trophy trout in here that are just, they didn't get out in time. A lot of bait fish have been showing up on some places, but that's the thing. We're not going to really see the whole
it's going to take time
run of this until the water warms back up and the fish that might have got affected deeper. If the water, basically it's like a thermal protection, and if it destratifies, that means there's different layers of the temperature of the water. If that water gets like jumbled up from all this wind and the cold air injected in, and that whole water column gets super cold, then those fish that were kind of seeking refuge on the bottom in deeper water, when they go, their bladder's already, bled out. So when they warm up and start gassing up and bloating, then they'll float to the top, and then we'll really know the real brunt of the damage to the fishery. I know Louisiana's fisheries division issued some warnings and stuff over there too, and closed some stuff down. It's not only in Texas. We might see some stuff further over towards Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, because they had some pretty strong stuff come across the past few nights too. I don't know if their duration is as long as ours here, but this is the current water temperatures. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see this, but we'll talk about this also. There's some current temperatures popping up on the screen of what we're seeing in Texas right now, and it is it's pretty crazy. Some of these temperatures we're seeing, current water temperatures ranging from the mid 40s to the upper 30s, and that's crazy.
That's the line, right? It's like 40, 41 degrees is kind of the line right there.
42 is really your critical point for trout.
Yep.
44, probably more like 44, 45, and then 42, 41 for redfish. And we're seeing that all over, Lavaca Bay, where I fish a lot, Port O'Connor. It's just insane what we're seeing. These water temps, 44 in Rockport, Corpus Christi, 39 at Bird Island, 42 at the mouth of Baffin, 39 down there around 41 around Mansfield, 42 coming out of Landcut, all around South Padre, Port Isabel, 42 to 45. So we're right there, and we'll see some stuff going on. We've seen some localized fish kills already, but this is just, unprecedented. I think our last major fish kill we had was back in 1989. They had one in February, the beginning of the year. Then they had another big freeze around Christmas at the end of the year. So it was pretty crazy. There you go, right there. Sabine, mouth of Sabine, 39.
Yep.
Mouth of Calcasieu at Cameron, 39. You're seeing some critical points there in Louisiana also.
It's just
all the way over. All the way over to Grand Isle, 51. On the outer islands, 43. It's some pretty stuff going on. 47 in Pascagoula going up the channel there. Mobile Bay's a little warmer, 49, 50 up on the north side, 52 up to Bon Secours. There's definitely, it could happen over there also. It's just, it depends on how much longer it stays cold over there. It's pretty crazy what's going on over there, over here. It just makes you really, really want to, be conservation minded. I know from Speckled Truth has shared some stuff that they're, with Release Over 20 initiative that started on the East Coast, has some stuff going on, pushing that, the program of Release Over 20. They actually track, you submit your fish to their website. It's on iStrikeFishing.com. You can look up the program that has. And I've been a big, supporter of that since I found out about it, and letting the bigger fish swim. It's always been a good thing for me to see too, and see those big girls go away, and keep growing and keep producing. Yeah. But yeah, they're jumping on board for the 2021, deal, and they're going to put in, the CPR. Release the fish period for 2021. I think they had some stuff going on with, lots of posts about the people worried about the fisheries in Texas and then in the other states affected by cold stun fish kills. We've been in. They contacted Speckled Truth and collaborated to encourage voluntary catch and release of all inshore species throughout 2021 in Texas. Anglers' actions can make a huge difference if you let all surviving fish spawn this year. They saw the same thing kind of happen in South Carolina a few years back, and they had a little deal going on, let them spawn, let them live initiative. After their last cold stun, and in 2 years, they had a huge rebound. So, thanks for Chris Bush from Speckled Truth and David Fladd from Release Over 20 to kind of get this ball rolling. I know some other stuff. I know Chester Moore shared some stuff about this also via Texas Fishing Game Magazine. And, there's just some – hopefully everybody jumps on board with all of this. I'm all in with releasing all my fish this year. Grip and grin, CPR. Let's go. We can still have tournaments. If I don't know, we got to see how bad it is first. I know there's quite a big. And we have some good redfish trails supposed to happen this year, especially on the kayak side, and I'm curious to see what happens with the redfish. Also, they're a little hardier, but there's definitely seen some pop up. And if you're, it's it's just one of them deals, man.
So my initial thought on this is that we try everything we can to keep those fish alive anyway, right? So we have live wells, and we work on keeping redfish alive for tournaments and weigh-ins, and we dedicate a lot of time and energy to making sure that we're bringing live fish to the weigh-in. I think that what's an interesting dynamic is that tournament fishing is only a piece of this now. But that's exactly right. Tournament fishing is only going to be a piece of this because you have, your pleasure fishing, and then you have guided fishing. Yes. And it'll be interesting to see how everybody kind of comes together and looks at the data and how this develops and how it moves forward. I'm not really on. I don't, because I'm not a guide. And because I'm not in that aspect of it, I don't have a say or an opinion on that side. I think that they all need to figure that out and work that out. But as far as kayak tournament anglers, we we do a lot of CPR, and we invest a lot of time and energy in making sure that our fish are alive and released healthy. So I think everybody could take a little bit of a trick or tips and tricks from what we do for these tournaments.
Exactly. Yeah, I just put a picture up there of a pretty sizable speckled trout laying there, just pretty much frozen on the bank, and it's pretty heartbreaking looking at that, and seeing some of these other pictures that have come in. I've had a few. Like I said, if you're listening to this on the podcast platform, jump over to YouTube and see some of this. I know it's all over Facebook too, but I'm just sharing some of this here just to show, what's going on over here, and that just like we really got to do something to help this situation out as conservation minded anglers, and I'm really hoping everybody out there can join in on this with us, and just help us grow this fishery back. We still haven't seen the brunt of it, not wanting to jump the gun too fast, but from what I'm seeing, it's not. I mean, it's looking pretty dismal, So it's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's weird too. We're only getting so much of a view so far, and we were talking about this earlier. A lot of the spots that I fish, I haven't seen any video come out of. So I'm interested in finding out how the Galveston Freeport net area is. I've heard good reports out of Clear Lake and out of Galveston, and then we're seeing devastation in others. So it's kind of hard secondhand filtering this. The sea turtles, absolutely. They were all over the place, and thank God they're out there collecting them. And
they reported there's been over 4,100 recovered the cold stunned sea turtles. I just put a picture up of a truck bed full. That's down from the Boca Chica beach area, south of the South Padre Island jetties. South of that towards the Mexico border. I know in Laguna Madre there's been quite a number, but a lot have came from down there in the lower Laguna Madre. And shouts off to all them guys, TJ Reyna and all them down south. I don't know who exactly has all been involved to get those to the help centers, but they've definitely been nice and shining armor for the turtles out there. Even some giant loggerheads were rescued, like 400-pound turtles that are 200 years old. Yeah. It's just insane that that's going on, and that everybody's willing to, jump on out there and risk, exposure to the weather to help these animals out, which is awesome.
SpaceX also brought in generators to help out and power. It's fantastic move. Yeah,
exactly. And it's just, man, it's heartbreaking. Like I said, if you're just listening to this podcast through the podcast platforms, you can jump back on YouTube and watch this also. It's just, I just wanted to come on. This is kind of not the normal podcast topic today, but what's going on over here has definitely got my heart hurting a little bit, man. And it's, y'all know me. Y'all know I love to chase a big trout. That's one of my things I like to do this time of year. And it's just it's pretty sad to see, man. Makes it tough.
Yeah. Like you said, a lot of the areas we write about it, we talk about it, we discuss getting back in and dragging kayaks to these back lakes that get cut off, and you're targeting redfish in shallow water in the back lakes. The bait fish is the first in the food cycle to go, and then you get the intermediate predator fish, and then you get the hardy fish. And if you've got them trapped in these back lakes that are shallow, there's no refuge. Once they're cut off, there's no refuge to deeper water.
Right.
I'm interested to see what the impact looks like once we can get back in there and really.
Yeah. Once it warms up, the water gets back over, to 55, 60 degrees, and we'll see what the extent of the damage is to the total fishery, to all our water bodies and everything. So just praying for the best, man. Hopefully some fish got to deeper channels. I know, a lot of flounder offshore. We got plenty of bull reds offshore that'll move back in, and some trout, the surf running trout and all that. Um, let's just say let's not hope it's like a total fish kill or one of the gigantic ones like the early '80s and late '80s. We're just praying for the best over here. It just makes me that much more, in tune with the whole, catch and release initiative and everything. It's just that you see stuff like this, what's up on the screen right now, and the videos that I've seen come out of Pringle and around Aransas Pass down the ICW, the Intracoastal Waterway there, starting to see some redfish and stuff affected down there also. It's just.
Well, it also not only is it a shock to the water and the thermal temperature and the fish shock, but it's also habitat shock. Yes. So a lot of, we were in a warming trend, and a lot of plant life was coming back and firing up and getting going early.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it got smacked. So we've got a kind of a 1-2 punch going on the Texas coast. So
yes. Yeah, we've had 3 fronts back to back. I mean, it's just it's crazy right now. I mean, it blows my mind. We are gearing up to start getting ready for some tournaments coming up. I think the first Redfish Trail event was coming up in April. I have quite a few bass tournaments lined up here, but and if that's the case, if we have to reduce the pressure on the inshore species, then we're lucky to live by some great bass fisheries also, and we can kind of split. I love to chase those greenfish too. So, if we do have to reduce the pressure on them, I think it'll be better, because I feel after the stress they're going to go through right now, there's no way you want to drag 2 redfish around on a stringer and try to get them to a weigh-in live. If anything, they need to modify and adjust and have a measured tournaments, and you can do that online by time of the fish submitted, your timestamp on the photos, because you could have multiple people catch 28-inch redfish, but it'd be the first ones to get the photo and submit it, and timestamp would definitely help with something like that. You might get some flack from people, but whatever. Anything to help right now is going to be better than nothing.
We're exactly right, and a lot of those issues have been worked out in previous tournament trails and in the freshwater trails as well. IFA has done it. And, we're the CPR format with the apps. It's entirely feasible right now.
Yes. Very much so, with everybody else that's done that and all that, oh man, it just looking at those pictures really.
Do you have the one?
Makes me kind of sad.
Do you have the one where it's lined up on the shoreline? Like there's 2 or 3 feet worth of fish on the shoreline?
I sure do. Y'all get ready for this one. It's not pretty. It's mainly sand trout and croaker spot, different things like that. But there's some specks mixed in there, and it's not pretty at all. So
there you go.
Yes.
So we're used to an overabundance of shad.
Yes.
In the summer months, and then get that first cold front that comes through, and it takes out a whole bunch of shad, and that's needed. I mean, it's essentially needed because they're overpopulated.
Yes.
But this
makes us hard to fool them on artificial.
That's right. And this is what feeds on that shad, right? Yeah. So you're taking a chunk out of the middle of the food chain there, and it's going to be, if we have a warm spring, summer, and fall, it's going to be either epic with these big fish, or we're going to be suffering through it all the way into next year.
Yeah, it could be throw the whole shebang out of balance.
Out of whack. Yeah, out of whack.
Throw it all out of balance, but yeah, hats off to our fisheries the hatcheries and stuff we do have here, they do a great job in restocking some of these fish. Because you do, just from recreational and anglers and stuff, we do deplete a lot of the resource through there too. And it's been great that we've had some reduction in krill limits and stuff as far as the trout go also. And I've seen the quality of fish go up over the past 3-5 years myself in my area. And I know they just implemented that change back last year in Galveston, going from a fish to 5, and then also implementing the 15 to 25 inch slot. You can only have one fish over 25 per person, which man, I'd love to see that just go away. Just have a slot period, just 15 to 25, and that be all you can keep.
Yeah.
I don't know what is this going to do to the croaker population? Is this actually going to push this to where they're not going to let them net croaker this year for bait? I mean, is it? So that way they'll have enough forage. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the thing. It's just, there's so many variables that are going to be at play that can just going to see how this balances out. And it's got my head spinning, man. I don't know. It's pretty rough to look at this.
Yeah. Definitely impacted.
Sure is. Sorry about the dreary mood here on this podcast, but it's just this is something that's dear to my heart, chasing these fish and this inshore fishery we have, and just to see it is I can't say enough how much this makes me sad, man. It's just,
and the dynamic difference between freshwater and saltwater here. You've got, think about all the northern lakes that freeze over, right?
Yeah.
And so and they're ice fishing. They're sitting on top of, they're fishing for fish underneath the ice. And they're deep. They may not be huge reservoirs, but they're deeper, and they allow them to get down there and weather it out. Man, really, the Gulf is pretty shallow. If you really think about it, the majority of the Gulf is shallow. There's a lot of people that come down here the first time and are driving over all these bridges going, wow, look at all this water. And, those of us that have been at it are like, well, I can walk across that. It's only 2 feet deep.
You can be like, yeah, man, I can walk across that whole span right there.
Yeah.
It's like, that was me when I first moved out here. It was like, what? You can walk out and fish out there like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like sinking in the mud up to your neck. Well, some places you will, but those grass flats were just like, man, that's the whole thing that got me going over here was, wade fishing. Mm-hmm. But we're not, the fish here aren't set up that way. They're they do put on they start eating a little more before the onset of, in fall and winter, they fatten up a bit, put on a little extra layer. But when this, as cold as it gets, the way the fish are, their metabolism slows down to nothing the colder it gets. So then their heart just stops beating, and then they go belly up. Yep. At that critical point in the water temp, they just can't hang on anymore. So, and actually, shoot, man, a lot of the lakes up North Texas are all frozen across. Palestine, Pines, Nacogdoches, all of that. It's like solid ice across them, But those have some, 40, 50 foot, some lakes even 80, 90, like Fayette's a power plant lake at least. But, some of these lakes, the fish will be able to hang on also, So we'll be transitioning over to some more bass fishing here to relieve some of the pressure on the inshore species, and just depending on what we see after everything warms back up a little bit, for sure.
I got a picture from one of my estimators, Pat. She sent me over a picture. She lives in Kemah, and right on the water. And she sent a picture over. She's like, they've never seen it frozen over, and it's frozen over, and it's insane to see. So
yes, I wish I had a picture to put that up, because there was a picture from the Kemah harbor there with all the sailboats frozen and the icicles just hanging off the mast. Yeah, I wish I had that picture to share. You could probably find it on social media pretty easy. It's probably making its rounds and everything. So, yeah, it's just one of them once in a century storms going on, and then to have the power failures and the water system, everything's going on with all of that, and we're not set up for this down here, to be ready for this. And then you got people giving it a bad name and talking trash, and that's what they deserve. Man, how could you ever wish something like that on somebody? It blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't feel like getting that fired up.
I'm not going to get too fired up into it, but for the most part, everybody I've talked to has been real supportive of everything. I jumped on another. Had a little patch of power yesterday and was able to knock out a podcast on another one yesterday. Eastern Current. Judson Brock does that podcast from the East Coast, and I was fortunate enough for him to ask me to come on board and talk a little bit about chasing the big trout from the kayak, and got some stuff done with him yesterday, and that'll be coming out here on March the 2nd. And then, he's really involved in the Release Over 20, and he's a guide over there and on the Eastern Seaboard there, does a lot of sea duck hunting and all that kind of cool stuff. So, I was excited to get on with him and talk shop with him. Little something different for some of his listeners. So y'all go over and check his podcast out too. It's pretty dang rad. So, he is a boat guy, but I'd love to have him on and chat a little bit too, and let y'all know in on that sea duck stuff is kind of tickling my fancy. I'd like to go over there and get in on some of that. Looks pretty fun. The boats they're hunting out of look like battleships almost. If you ever look at them, it's pretty crazy. So, it is what it is over here. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But from what I'm seeing already, the localized kills, I'm all aboard. Like I said earlier, I'm all aboard jumping on catch and release for the whole year, and let's let this fishery replenish and come back to life like it was.
Yeah. It was 83 or 89, 83, 89 was the last.
83 had one, 89 had one in beginning of the year, February, then December.
And they're still talking about the one in Florida. Almost 7-8 years ago, I think, something like that.
Yeah,
I may be totally off, but so
pretty hardcore one there. We had some stuff in 2011, I think 2016. I remember a February in 2011 where it was, it was teens for 3 or 4 nights in a row, but it was getting up to like 35 40 during the day. I remember at work it was pretty crazy, but there were some isolated kills there also. Not near as bad as what we're seeing now so far, but like I said, the water needs to warm up a little more, and those fish that have are still down on the bottom will bloat up and float, and then we'll really see the extent of what's happened. So, bearer of bad news, kind of want to stay off social media and see all them pictures actually. But yeah, I just wanted to have Mike on and just touch on this a little bit and share with the listeners. We got a lot of Texas listeners also that listen to this podcast in Louisiana, the Gulf Coast here, and just pray for all of us over here on this whole stretch over here in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Panhandle, Florida included. They're dealing with some cold temps right now. Hopefully we'll get thawed out. Punxsutawney Field, I'm coming for you, buddy. little groundhog. We'll give you a big old noogie. Yeah. So, enough of that dreary stuff. So, what's up? You gonna fish some bass tournaments now?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Waiting Absolutely. On got a boat order. Should be getting a new boat coming up here pretty quick. Got a
South Dakota FD
on the way. Yep. Yes, sir.
Yep. And then keeping the Kraken going. Got the Torpedo on the Kraken.
Yeah, anybody out there that still has a Kraken and wants to put a Torpedo on it, Mike rigged up a pretty cool little aluminum mount for the rear end of it. It's getting over 6 miles an hour with that Torpedo on the Kraken 15.5. And it's pretty sweet setup for the redfish tournaments. But if we hope we have them this year, who knows what's going to happen? But we got plenty of bass tournaments coming up. We got some stuff with kayak fishing Texas on Fayette. We got some stuff with San Antonio kayak fishing on on Choke Canyon. Southeast Texas Kayak Bass League has their Sam Raven event this weekend, which was just made more of a social event now. It's not going to have any AOI ramifications because of the weather.
Yep.
Texas Kayak
funny
Championships on Palace, or it's the 27th. There's some other stuff going on. March on Choke. I'm excited for that one. Choke Canyon coming up pretty quick. So I'm gonna have to be getting over there and doing some pre-fishing, which is this is gonna allow me, to get out and do a little more pre-fishing for these freshwater events. Give our inshore species a break and recover. So, I'm ready for some of those, definitely. Still gonna get on the water.
It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see. The people that we know in the north, throughout the north of the country, we see them out there in the ice and in the dry suits and in everything else. You got too many to name. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting to see kayaks covered in ice and snow on a trailer for a bass tournament in Texas, right? And it blows your mind because you never. You never thought you'd see that. So, yep.
Yeah. Yep. It's just one of those things. We're going to just have to move past it and hope for the best, So, man, start wrapping this one up. We've just all that dreary stuff.
Well, we see that's the thing. You can focus on the dreary and the downside of it, or we can go out and try to make a difference, right?
Yes, that's what's going to be the deal breaker right there.
You make a difference, not an impact. Exactly. So that's the thing that I constantly am saying over and over and over again. So we just go make a difference, man. We make sure we know the facts. We spread the word and get as many people into the Empty Stringer program as possible.
Yeah, Empty Stringers 2021. Let's go. I thought 2020 was done, and then now just recurring. And and it's like nothing on the news has even been said about the pandemic recently. It's just all been about this power situation in Texas and just craziness. So, yeah.
Yep.
Whew. All right. Well, here's for some good stuff right here. Let's see. Let's see what we can do. We're going to give away something. I got a Catch Carbonate board.
There you go.
Let's give that away to somebody on this thing. Let's see. Oh. What do you want to ask them, Mike?
We should have them pick a number, like a random number.
Random number.
The very end, the last, right before the outro, you give them a random number, and they've got to be the first one to comment with the random.
There you go. All right, well, I'll throw that number out there right now. It's going to be 0.
There you go.
For no fish on your stringer for 2021.
There you go.
So, first person to comment on the original Paddle and Fin post of this, when this podcast comes out, on the Paddle and Fin post, not the ones that we'll share, or vice versa. The original post on the Paddle and Fin page for this podcast, Chasing the Tide segment that comes out. First one to post that, 0, we'll get that Catch Carbonate board sent to them. Or I can drop off if they're close by. So, with that, man, Mike, thanks for joining me today. I had a couple of, it's kind of hard to line up some stuff this week. So, and then all this happened with this freeze and the fish in our fishery, our inshore species and all that. I just wanted to come on. Thanks for coming on with me and having a little powwow about that, and just wanted to share with everybody what's going on over here. And, look forward to having another episode ready for the next segment. We'll have some guests from, I think we're going to have a guest from Alabama on next time. So we shall see.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, Mike, once again, thanks again for joining me today. I want to thanks to Waterloo Rods and Truchador and Co. for supporting Chasing the Tide here, and stoked to be part of the Paddle and Fin family. So everybody, go give them a follow. Give the Chasing the Tide page a follow if you haven't done so yet. And we will catch y'all next time. I'm out, y'all.
So, yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com.